first to the floor here. Pierce comes up with it. Hit the deck, first to the floor, making every big play for the Celtics today. Tatum knocks it away, trying to get it. Dives. What a play by Dave Cowher. Watch him dive for the ball right here. Look at this hustle. Knocked away.
Ben Vallis here with First to the Floor. Welcome to everyone joining us live here on YouTube, and shout out to everyone catching the show later, wherever you prefer your podcasts. Once again, it's a great day to be a Celtics fan. Wayne Spooney and Jake Eisenberg are both here. Spooney, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm going to channel my inner Boston sports radio host for this episode because I had to do some work while the game. I did watch the game, but I was also working. So, like most Boston sports radio hosts, I'm going to talk about a game I kind of watched, and I'm going to do it very confidently.
Look, lucky for you, it was the Spurs, and so. Yeah. You know, we only really needed to half watch that one, specifically the last 3 minutes and 3 seconds of the game, most important than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's up to Jake as well? And Spooney, I think you flying blind is probably better analysis than most people out there who watch the game 3 times. So we'll take it. Before we get into it, please do us a solid and subscribe to the YouTube channel and or the actual podcast available on all podcast apps. Like the stream here. If you're here watching live, hit that like button. It's easy. It's a twitch of the finger. Help us navigate the algorithm and get this show in front of more eyeballs. Also, are you tired of watching Celtics games alone? Well, you can watch them live with us on the Celtics blogs. Playback Room, playback.tv/Celtics blog. And finally, check out Wayne Spooney's column for Celtics blog, 3-Leaf Clover, this week breaking down Jason Tatum's elite isolation play, and you'll be surprised at just how insane, to which an insane level some of those stats have climbed. So really good stuff there from Spooney. And shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to the dumb gang here in the chat who demanded before we go live a shout out, which we're happy to do because, of course, we love everyone in the chat joining us live or after the fact here on YouTube. All right, guys. Shall we get into it? The Celtics, they beat the Spurs, Spooney, in case you were wondering, last night, 117-98. It wasn't really even that close, though, but the Celtics were just kind of treading water for half the game. Jake, immediate takeaways from this one? I kind of thought it was a bit of a nothing game.
Celtics, 20-0 at home. That's the most important takeaway from this game. You know, coming into this stretch, it was like, okay, can we get to 20-0 going into this Nuggets game? That has been achieved. And, look, 68% from 3 in the first half. Pretty absurd. The Celtics have just been shooting at just, kind of an outrageous rate for the past I don't even know, 3-4 weeks at this point. And the whole season we were kind of saying, these guys are insanely good. And Jalen, Jason, Porzingis, kind of your 3 most high-volume 3-point shooters, none of which are shooting well. Well, Jalen and Jason have started to go off, and everybody went off in the first half. The 68.4 was absurd. I think it actually got up to 70% at the beginning of the third quarter as well. But, the Spurs had no chance.
Dude, if I was a Spurs fan, I would be a little worried about watching Victor Wembanyama try to defend high pick and roll. It's Tatum sauced his ass over and over again from what I saw, which was actually often enough that when I was occasionally looking up, every time I looked up, we were just dominating him in high pick and roll. And it's that's the easiest play to get in basketball. Luke Kornet's coming over and setting the screen, and we're getting easy shots out of it with Wemby in some crazy deep drop. And part of that is the pull-up threes go down. Looks pretty easy when, somebody's in drop and you can make pull-up threes. But I think it just goes to, Joe, again. He knew you got to attack. You got to have the guy who Wembanyama is defending be the screen setter in that high pick and roll. Get his ass out of the paint, because if he can roam like we do with Porzingis, you will never score at the rim, ever. He is 7 feet 19 with 30-foot
dude, the arms are nuts.
It looks fake, dude. It really does. He's a 2K player.
Yeah.
But it was just a great game plan, and those threes were not covered. I mean, that 68% in the first half is a crazy number, but they were all wide open, catch and shoot, off the dribble, comfortable, great shooters doing it. So great game plan to open it up. And then from what I could tell, the second half just kind of seemed like, Let's just keep it 20 and get over, finish this game off.
Yeah, the whole second half was just like begging for Walshy minutes. And because they played with their food through that third quarter, which was brutal, and I would never blame you for not watching that quarter, Spoonie. They just delayed the inevitable, which was Walshy finally getting his debut, which we'll get to. I suppose you mentioned, Spoonie, that Joe probably has a lot of experience scheming an offense around a similar player archetype, at least dimensions-wise, to Wemby in guys like Robert Williams, right? As far as like how to defend using a player like that. So obviously bringing him up to the screen and screening using his guy is going to get him out of the paint and create easy looks for the Celtics and put him in some terrible positions there. Like you mentioned, Tatum burning him on a number of occasions. And then on the other end, the Spurs were just missing everything, leading to the Celtics easily winning the rebounding battle on this one, despite them having a 7'5" alien, 54-41 on the rebounding. And the Celtics are now, what happened for quite a while, I believe, leading the league in rebounding, which I know we've talked about. It's never not surprising because of years of traumatizing lost rebound. And we've even had microcosms of like lost rebounding battles this season where we've been killed on second chance points and things like that. So to see that stat, maybe the biggest like double take at the stat sheet that I've done all season, and I can't believe how long that's been holding for.
I wonder if that's just is that partly defense related? Like we're forcing a lot of misses, so there's more rebounds to go around. But
yeah, absolutely. But in the case of the Spurs,
too, right?
How do you mean, like rebounding percentage?
Yeah, we're third in rebounding percentage, which is
okay.
So first in total rebounds, third in rebounding percentage. So it's like both.
Yeah, so we're
very ridiculous.
Period.
Yeah.
We should just end the pod there. Like, that is amazing. If you've been watching the Celtics for more than like 3 years, then like that's like blowing your world away right now. Speaking of being blown away, the Corn Hub. Cornhub.com, Luke Kornet, amazing. 6'9" and 4 plus a steal and 3 blocks in this game. Taylor Snow, do we have the tweet here? Yes. Here we go. Amazing shot here as well. Victor Wembanyama, the NBA's leader in stocks, which is steals and blocks, at 4.32 per game, was outstocked by Luke Kornet tonight by a tally of 4-1. He dominated Wemby, which is a lie, but fun to say. And like not too far from the truth within the microcosm of this game, Jake. What do you think?
Kornet, man. I can't believe I've turned into the Kornet guy or a Kornet guy.
I know.
From screaming from the hilltops, please, I wish Rob Williams would just come back and grab a rebound from the beginning of the season, like starting the Luke Kornet, please grab more than 1 rebound challenge. Look at him. 9 rebounds. Offensive rebounding. Like, this guy, and my favorite part, he's just a quick decision maker, man. He's always looking for the next screen. He's like, where can I screen? Very rarely does someone need to stand at the top of the key and call Kornet up to do a screen. He's just constantly head on a swivel. Can I screen on ball, off ball? He's just playing his role to the maximum of his capability. You know, he's got athletic limitations, but he's really maxing out, I think, what he's capable of this season.
Yeah, and he's just seems so much more comfortable with his role offensively recently. Like those first month of the season, that dude was not looking at the rim. Like he looked scared of the basketball at times. He couldn't catch it randomly for some reason as well. But recently, in the handoff game, in sort of these that pitch back and screen game that he gets going with JB a lot. You're right, Jake. He just looks really comfortable, and he's just so active on both ends, really. His rebounding lets him down. He doesn't read the ball off the rim really well on the defensive rebounding side, but he tries really hard, and he's your third big. And we went through it last show. It's really hard to find a third center in the NBA who's significantly better than Luke Kornet. This dude has turned himself into a legitimate plus role player off the bench, and I am, for one, completely stunned.
I know.
But hey, here we are.
There's so many takes that I would like to scrub from the internet regarding Luke Kornet from a month ago.
What's funny is that I started off as the Luke guy, and then I was the lowest on him, and now, here we are.
Yeah, Kate is going to be, brought up to a guaranteed contract, and Luke's going to be traded away. And man, how the times have changed.
Well, quickly though, I've seen this comment from Mitch. We were talking about this in the playback stream yesterday as well from our guy RJ. Kornet's playing too well. Some team is going to pay him this offseason. I can't quite get there. I would still be surprised if someone's offering Kornet more than minimum money, like for your third big. I don't know, Spoonie. Ben?
Yeah, we at least have his early bird rights. I think maybe we might have his bird rights. So like if some team's gonna swoop in for like $4 or $5 million a year, like we'd probably just match that, right?
I would think so.
Yeah, he's turned out great as a third string big. And I think, naturally people want the best out of everyone and everything. And they look for, or they look at and highlight the absence of an elite skill. But he's like a C plus in like across the board, really. And after this podcast, we're going to hang on the line here, not live on YouTube, but we're going to hang around, the three of us, and record our next episode of the Underrated Plays series, and some Luke Kornet screening, and like his nose for screening, his natural ability to detect where and when and to who, for whom rather, to set screens for. It's such an innate ability of his, and that's going to feature heavily in that next episode. So we're looking forward to that. After the game, what we're sort of highlighting in this episode is the vibes. We're kind of in the doldrums of the season. And for me personally, I still remember the waiting game that was the off season and how brutally and painfully slow that was. So I'm doing my best to appreciate every game, every off day, every tweet, everything, even though we are technically in sort of the slowed down, boring, like pre-Super Bowl part of the season. And Luke Kornet, better than any other, really highlighted the great vibes in his post-game interview.
And it's weird because I feel like we could be like a rap crew, but kind of like, I don't know what that crew would be. I just be the baseline vocals, just kind of in the background. All right. Yeah.
That's intriguing. Yes.
No.
Back to Victor.
Yeah, you just try to make him make shots, and he's going to make some great plays, and he's got to keep weathering the course. Storm? Weathering the storm. There you go. Yeah.
That could be the name of your band.
Weathering the storm. I feel like we got to get some puns in there, but I'd have to work on that for a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know. What
Abby
do you guys
is
think?
the GOAT.
Abby's so good.
Dude.
She is awesome. Yeah.
Dude, they're all like, you can see Luke's locker room role right there. They're all just like standing there waiting for him to do a Luke Kornet thing. And as soon as he breaks, serious character talking to Abby, he's like, I feel like we could be a rap group. They all just start cracking up and like, yep,
yeah.
we got what we came for and we're out of here. He's the best.
Does it give you hope that you could like coexist in a group of cool people? Because like I feel personally like I'm such a dork as well, that if he can be seen as cool by his peers in that environment, that it gives one of such a personality hope elsewhere in the world. Or am I overthinking it brutally? I think I might be.
You get a lot of like leeway when you're 7'3" and in an NBA
True.
player,
A great
there's
screener.
some serious cool points in there, like my ass, like playing RPGs and reading like fantasy novels. Probably not going to get those cool points, bro. Like I could not hang with Tatum and Jrue Holiday. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Mary Poppins in the chat.
Don't know.
Those are really endearing qualities to be, Spoonie. RPGs and fantasy novels.
Look, Luke, who needs Blake, as has been pointed out to us by many people in the past couple of days, when you've got the legend of Luke Kornet.
Any other stats here on Kornet we want to get to? Like, I know we've got some more stuff in the run sheet. We've got some clips and some comparisons to make.
Well, quickly before we move on, just because everybody hates Kornet. Well, actually, that's not true. Half of the world feels like they hate Kornet, and like that's the one thing that people want to complain about if they're going to complain about something. He's played 383 minutes. The Celtics have a 4.79 net rating with Kornet on the floor. So they're just good when Kornet plays, which is all you really can ask for. And then for the Cater Hive, the Nemi Hive, I've got this play here for you. This just highlights the difference between Luke Kornet and Cater so perfectly. I'm going to play it here. We can watch it. So, yeah, Jrue comes over. Kornet sets a beautiful screen for Hauser, who hits it on the short roll. And just super quick decision, on-target pass to Jaylen Brown in the corner, which he nails. And then on the other end, Cater sets a screen for Tatum. Tatum finds Nemi in the short roll, and he just freezes. He just, completely just stops. And, it's only half a second for a full second. When you're watching it live, in contrast to Al Horford, Porzingis, and Kornet, catch the ball in short roll in any situation, and the decision making is 2 times slower, and that's the biggest difference. And Like, that's such a valuable thing for this team and for any team, for your center to be able to make quick decisions and on-target passes.
Yeah, absolutely. He is an incredible man, incredible guy on and off the court. And it's just good to see it finally coming to fruition, because I think for the vibes alone, like, everyone's been rooting for this guy. And now he's clearly like everyone on the team. And we could spend all night talking about this on an individual by individual basis. Like, everyone has perfectly found their role. It's just great to see. Joe Tiddy in the chat rightfully calling out the band name should be Korn, and that we've covered this.
That's true.
I feel like we'll have the opportunity to revisit this. Another awesome moment of the game, sticking with the incredible vibes coming out of this one in this juncture of the season. Jordan Walsh, Walshy, as we run some B-reel here, finally got his debut in Celtics green in TD Garden there. The crowd was hot for this one. Yeah, Moses Malone level rebounding coming off the bench here for Jordan Walsh. And, here, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see, like, obviously he had one possession like this, but just great with his one-on-one defense there. And Jake, I believe the vibes in the playback stream were unparalleled.
Oh, the vibes in the playback stream. I mean, firstly, Svi and Banton. I mean, talk about not understanding the assignment. It was specifically Svi. Just every chance he got, he was driving, putting him up. But yeah, this is the possession that we were all ready to exploit. No, don't run to the corner, Walshy. Come get it, bro, dude.
Yes. No. Slip it.
Wemby was working on the 30, but it didn't get there, I don't think.
One more.
One more.
Here we go.
Come
on. Oh
on.
my God, he wouldn't.
Oh no.
Hurt the shit out of that.
Dude. Your reaction is like everyone, I think, watching that game.
Yeah,
that
that's
was amazing.
what I'm saying. Yeah, so if you're listening, watching, and you're not in the playback stream, that's exactly what it is. It's all of us feeling the exact same way and just doing it all together. But yeah, man. Svi and Banton. We should have gotten 8 minutes of Walshy, and we should have gotten 3. But that part's more on the starters, honestly, for dicking it around for half of the third quarter. But then we just should have gotten him some more touches, man. If that shot went down there.
I remember watching, oh my God, what is it? James Young just move on a basketball court, and I remember being like, Does this cat? I talk like a jazz musician 10 years ago. Does this guy have like bricks in his shoes? Like, he just looked so awkward and uncomfortable on an NBA court, just like me saying this stuff. But I will say, like, Walshy looks really fluid. He looks really quick. He looks really athletic, and he's huge, right? Like, he's 6'7", 7-foot wingspan. Like, there's a player in there. Even from that 3-minute stint, like, he didn't look completely lost. Offensively, he's just kind of like a guy who's going to play his role as Delano Banton drives into 4 defenders and throws up a bullshit, layup, right? So it's kind of like we're kind of like vibing. We're just kind of joking, but he did look kind of like encouragingly fluid out there.
Yeah,
hey, defense, defense. I think he's going to be a really good rebounder for his position. I mean, he's averaging 48 rebounds per 36 currently, which I think would be a record. Should hold.
Incredible.
that should hold.
Rodman-esque.
Yeah, I think that's just the kind of guy that he is. He's going to be a really good rebounder. He's going to defend. And, like, he can put the ball on the court. He can make simple passes. Dribble pass, shoot, man. The shot's the one part we're not 100% sure he's going to be able to do. But, like, to me, the shot looks fine. So, look, I could do an hour on 3 minutes and 3 seconds of Jordan Walsh.
I know. It's just so fulfilling to finally get it. And unfortunately, like, looking at the immediate upcoming schedule, like, there's no opportunities really for additional Walshy playing time for a little while now. Certainly not going to play against Denver, although, hopefully we're in the position where we can trot out the deep G League level bench to end the game if we're up by 30 at some point, but it doesn't seem like a reasonable prediction to make. So it's good to see him out there at a juncture of the season where it was realistic to bring him on. And apparently the whole main Celtics team were there to watch him. So, like, the stage was set. Like, he was going to play, even though it looked like we were going to shit the bed as a team prior to that moment. It was fortunate that, that they did set the stage and make the bed for for Walshy to come out and play as I rattle through my analogies in my brain. Sorry.
We're shitting the bed. We're making the bed.
I feel like I'm shitting the bed multiple times on this podcast.
This Jordan Walsh cat, man. I mean, like, is it a sign though that they're gonna maybe start doing this a little bit more? Because like we've been like, why is he not being called up in certain spots or being played in certain spots? But like this seems like a very purposeful. We're probably gonna kick the shit out of the Spurs. Let's bring him up, and they did. My prediction is still March, April. You look at that schedule.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of opportunities, I think, to get Walsh in there. That's going to be the spot. And I'm just, that's what this season's all about now.
Do you guys worry at all that the portion of the season where we're sort of predicted to and allowed to take our foot off the gas somewhat, Wayne, Jazan, Spoonie from DJ Janual in the chat, love it. Do you guys worry that like it's the later sort of immediately before the playoffs portion of the season that we're sort of being encouraged to throttle down a little bit?
I don't know. I feel like you can. Well, first of all, let me just say shout out to the crowd. Like, this is such a Celtics crowd when the 15th man is getting like standing ovations for getting a rebound.
35th pick. Come on, Jordan.
Yeah. Like, that's how you know there's like basketball diehards in that building. But I feel like they're still gonna play. Like Tatum, the Jays, like all the starters are still gonna play as the season winds down. Like, you can still stay prepped in 20 minutes a night. You're just not gonna keep adding up 37-minute night, a night wear and tear on you. So like I'm not super concerned with just like downshifting as it gets closer to the playoffs, because like these dudes are ready. They know the assignment, and they're still gonna like play really hard in kind of limited minutes.
Yeah, and there's still tough games in this March-April stretch. Like, even though it is a squishy stretch, like even looking at the last kind of couple of weeks here, the fourth game before the end of the season is against the Bucks. The Kings, are in there. The Thunder again, Pelicans. Like, there's still, bunch of tough games in there. So like you're going to be able to balance both getting more rest, but also, I remember Tatum talking about wanting to get experience before getting into the playoffs. Not experience, practice. Playing 42, 43 minutes in a couple of games just to like get your feet under him before you go in. So it'll be a balance between both. But Walsh, while also preparing for the playoffs, perfect.
Yeah,
enough to keep us
Secret
engaged.
weapon.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey.
Anything else stand out from this one? Like before we move on, before we get to an ad break, like I know we've got on the run sheet here the Jays playing in the fourth. Why were they playing? I mean, we were short a few players. Like we did need some humans on the court, really. Like if you think about the lessened roster that we had, and like Jalen and Jason were awesome in this game. The whole team collectively shut the bed in the third quarter, but in the first two quarters with the Jays, like they just looked like they were in a league of their own, which is a cliche, but they just looked worlds better than anyone else in the building. And also that like they're just kind of going through the motions in the process. It didn't really look like they were even asserting themselves particularly hard. So nothing new on the Jays, but I think we need to take stock and at least not take this for granted, because they are just absolutely killing it at the moment.
Yeah, they were really good. They're really good. Combined for another 45 points. It's just not fair what they were doing to this Spurs team, specifically Wemby. But I was going to say this comment here. Quick prediction: more minutes by the end of the year. Walsh or Stevenson? My guy Lamar. Our guy Lamar.
Does it matter?
Probably Walsh. I'm just. It's more interesting. It's probably Walsh, because like Stevens is out, dude.
It just seems like Walsh is going to play in blowouts, and we'll probably have quite a few of those. And Stevens is only going to play with like several injuries racked up, and hopefully that doesn't happen. So I think it's probably Walsh. I wonder if Stevens gets moved at the deadline too for like a minor upgrade. I don't know. Give me Walshy.
Yeah. But, I know. Go ahead, Spin.
Well, my preference is Walshy, just for the vibes, and like we want to track the development. We want to see how he's tracking, and if he's we're getting what we need out of him down there in the G. And Lamar, it feels like we've had several false starts with him. And
okay,
that's right. Yeah, I apparently talk like somebody else as well.
Real quick.
Thank you. Well, we've been doing an NBA podcast for a while. You learn the lingo. Lamar, we've had a number of false starts and never really gone anywhere with that. So it just feels like if something was going to happen with Lamar Stevens, if we were going to utilize him in one way or another, halfway through the season, guys, it feels like probably would have happened already. So, and because he does possess that, like, at least in form of his resume, starter caliber quality, maybe he is more of an enticing trade chip if we do decide to make some moves around the edges in less than a month's time. February 8 is the deadline there. So ultimately, like, we're in good stead if we need nothing from either of them, I think is the takeaway. We shouldn't need
we don't need anything from either of them. We want something from Walsh. So that's
deeply. Jrue Holiday is quite good now, guys. Last 5 games, 42% from 3. He's actually up to 42% overall on the season from 3, but he was 36% from 3 in his first 10 games as a Celtic. Incredible assist-to-turnover ratio, 4 assists per game, 1 turnover per game in the last 5 games, and 108 defensive rating. The theme beyond the vibes on this show just seems to be, discussing about how guys are really settled into their role. And yeah, we've discussed this recently with Jrue, but in addition to his role of just being like that quarterback in the zone, and being a primary ball handler and defending the main point of attack and often the other team's best player as well. He seems to be like the first guy to slot in when we have a notable absence, whether it's Jalen or Tatum or Derek White, to be like the next man up as far as aggression and the first person we go to when Tatum receives a double. And he's really like thriving in that role now. It's taken a while, but he seems really comfortable in being patient and waiting for those moments to be given to him by the opposition rather than forcing them a little bit, Spoonie. So I don't know. That's probably it. But are you seeing anything else from Jrue?
He has like 1 game out of 5 where he just goes YOLO and does like crazy stuff the entire game. I don't know what it is, but I mean, he was awesome against the Spurs, and like he's literally this is not an exaggeration. He's shooting 60% from the corner this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And 37% from above the break, which is still like elite from above the break, because it's a longer 3-point shot. So, Jrue's kind of we talked about it last show. Like he's kind of Jake. I think you put it like his downside, like his band of Marcus Smartness is like less downside and more upside. And other than the second most recent game, now it's completely I'm losing. Who did we just play? Other than the Raptors game where he was like awesome, but he was kind of like going crazy a little bit.
He was like, "Whoa, dude." Settle down.
But the shots were going in, so it was okay. Like he's just on an absolute tear, and I think the most important thing to me is the fact he's just not turning it over. And like I really like get shots on goal. The Eric Spoelstra, the mantra. Jake says it a lot. Yep. Like get shots up. Jrue will get the shots up, and he has these times where he turns it over too much, and that's not been the case recently. And lo and behold, he looks a whole lot better when the ball is like getting towards the rim instead of the opponent's hands.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want? A shot that you're like, oh, that's not a great shot, or a turnover? It's like not even close, because give yourself a 35 to 40% chance of getting a 3, or like a 70% transition play for the opposition. It's so important, and so like give him the green light to me, because I think once he starts to like dribble a little bit, that's when he can start to get into trouble. Just fire away, man. Like the pull-ups, the catch and shoots, just be confident, decisive, and let it fly. And then you add that to not only the defense has been incredible, but he's just been a really consistent rebounder as well. Like I don't have the rebounding numbers in front of me for like to be able to compare Marcus and Jrue, but I feel like Drew's been a really good rebounder for his position. As someone that has bet on Jrue Holiday rebounds a fair bit this season, he's been cashing. Yeah, he's averaging 6 rebounds a game, which is like
nice.
Really solid from your guard spot.
Question in the chat here from DJ Daniel. What do you guys think of getting an insurance ball handler like Patty Mills or Austin Rivers? After Peyton Pritchard replaced Brogdon, we never replaced the other PG spot. Now, Spoonie, we did the trade chatter a pod ago, and even Brad Stevens has mentioned that they're likely to pursue a wing and not so much another guard, and we kind of leaned into someone else at the big man spot as well. We didn't touch too heavily on guards. Do you feel that there's a need to fill there at that position?
Peyton Pritchard is way better than Austin Rivers. I will say that with all my heart. And like Patty Mills,
careful.
I haven't seen. I know. I'm treading on very thin ice right here with the Aussies. Is this version of Patty Mills any better than Peyton Pritchard? Like undersized guard who can shoot threes off the catch and off the dribble and like pseudo run an offense. Like they're kind of the same guy at this point, really. So I don't really see a need other than like the Caruso thing. I don't see a need to upgrade on Pritchard. I don't see a need to upgrade on one of the white guys. Yeah. And like, look, in the playoffs, your third guard with how we can run our rotations with the top 6, like, and we can just like stagger Jrue and Derek White, and Tatum can take some ball handling. Like, that third guard is going to play like 8, 9, 10 minutes a night in the playoffs, and maybe not at all if we make the NBA finals, fingers crossed. So, I really don't think it's a priority.
Yeah, I think the question here was more as well as, not instead of.
Oh,
and so
sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And so in that regard, I think Patty Mills is actually kind of perfect in that role, and so would Austin Rivers. Like, those guys as just one more guy that is a point guard, and both guys are going to be positive locker room influences. Austin Rivers would be just ecstatic to be on an NBA roster. He doesn't care if he's playing. Patty Mills, I mean, there's no better guy in the world. So, like, as far as worrying about guys, no
better guy in the world.
Literally, that's his title. And so that would be nice. Adam in the chat, how come no one's talking about Kispert? Kispert would be a dream addition, but that's not the Wizards aren't trading him unless someone overpays, because he's a young guy that's good. They need young guys that are good. But yeah, he's probably one of the more underrated players in the NBA. He's like kind of a more athletic Hauser almost.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, as far as Patty Mills or anyone of that caliber is concerned, I'm thinking slotting in roughly the Delano Banton role, if you want to call it that, which is hardly a role. It's essentially very, very random insertions into the rotation for a very specific matchup, which is really more Banton-centric than it ever would be for Patty Mills. But other than that, just locker room vibes and spelling the rotation players if we're up 30 in the fourth quarter, essentially. And for that, Patty Mills or Austin Rivers. You might say, in Austin Rivers' case, our equal in the NBA podcasting world. I'm just kidding. We're going to come back in a moment and hit the Schadenfreude Report, but before that, a quick word from our sponsor.
The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. It's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays, find bets in the new Explore tab, make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit fanduel.com/Boston and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. I have a question for you.
Please.
Do you guys want to guess what the line is for the Nuggets game tomorrow?
Ooh.
Home?
Home? We're home.
4.5?
Minus
4.5?
Minus 5.5 for the Celtics. Yeah.
Wow.
The Nuggets haven't been great on the road. They're in the middle of this road trip. Celtics, no one in the injury report. I haven't actually had a look at the Nuggets injury report, but interesting.
Just lost to Philly.
I don't feel comfortable handing out the Celtics against the Nuggets there. Philly plays Orlando tomorrow, -5. That's actually something I feel pretty comfortable with. I think that I don't know if Franz Wagner's back yet, but either way,
he's ruled out for the game tomorrow night.
Okay, well then, yeah, Philly -5. Paolo's just way too overtasked right now. He actually cost me a same game parlay by half a point, or 1 point in the Hawks game yesterday by going 8 for 23. But yeah, so Philly -5.
Nice. Franz Wagner as well. Wasn't he just on the Reddit pod as well?
He was.
Is the curse maybe deeper and more far-reaching than we first considered? Anyway, let's get to the... Oh, I hope not. Let's get to the Schadenfreude Report.
Schadenfreude. The Sixers. Schadenfreude. The Lakers. Schadenfreude. The Heat. Schadenfreude. Milwaukee Bucks. Schadenfreude. Warriors. Schadenfreude.
Take it away, Jake.
We're back.
What a banger.
I mean, talk about a fun day for the Celtics. Obviously, we murder the Spurs. Meanwhile, the Giannis-less Bucks take on the Cavs, and it was just one of those nights where you're getting screenshots of the box score throughout the game. I think they were down 22-2 to start the game. They were down 40 at one point, and it kind of speaks to a few things, but in particular, the Bucks are just... Giannis is doing so much for for that team this year. He's really probably not getting quite enough credit for how much he's doing. Like, that defense is so bad, despite having one of the best defenders in the NBA. And you see it tonight. Like, Dame's getting away with not having an awesome year. But hang on, we got to draw attention to this one. Michael Manning.
Wow, generous. Thank you, sir.
Place your bets. How long does the home winning streak go? I think we make it past Denver. The home winning streak won't be in jeopardy until we face the Philly at the end of February, 30-0. Wow. Okay, so we got to pull up the Celtics schedule quickly here because I know we play the Clippers at home soon. That was another one I had my eye on as a potential loss. So
that's our next home game after the Nuggets, I believe.
Correct. So it's Nuggets, Clippers, Pelicans, Pacers, Lakers, Grizzlies, Hawks.
That's
Wizards.
tough, dude. I mean, the Hawks not, but the Pacers with Siakam too. Like, that's a pretty tough run.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go 20. I don't know. I want to be confident here. Where do we drop it?
Can I be negative Nancy?
Yeah, go for it.
I think we lose to the Nuggets.
No.
I know. I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry.
Personally devastating. I mean, if we were going to lose to any of these teams, it's probably going to be the best one of them. And Clippers, the following game, is probably the most likely. But the desire to protect this streak from the guys' perspective and to continue to show themselves as a championship caliber team against top tier teams, you know, they're going to come out and play their best basketball in these next two home games, Nuggets and Clippers. So wouldn't it just be so Celtics for it to be like the Grizzlies?
This is a good point in the chat. Yeah.
Like Marcus Smart being in the building, just the emotion of Smart's presence. I know he's not going to play, but
so let's call it now 25-0. That's where we're going.
Mm-hmm. Right. Someone else had a comment further upstream, just being like, just lose, just get it over with, so we could just kind of restore our focus a little bit and just play normal basketball. It's loser mentality.
No, like, I think it's helping. I think it's helping them like play harder, and and the crowds are all about the home record as well. Yeah, let's not get rid of that. All right, back to the Schadenfreude Report. Cavs murder the Bucks, and the Raptors murder the Heat. Jimmy Butler's finally back. They won. He's his second game back. They won an overtime game against the Nets, when neither team scored 100 points in overtime in the year 2024, which I don't know how that's possible. No. And then they had their Jimmy Bam. Everybody was playing, not everybody, I don't think, but Jimmy Bam against the Raptors, who we haven't lost to in like 3 years. They got smoked. So that's just good to see. So now you look at the standings. The Celtics are 4 games ahead of the Bucks, 5 games ahead of the Sixers. And our good friend Dan Greenberg tweeted about this today. Very interested to see if the Celtics can maintain their lead in the East over these next 5 games before things lighten up for them. Boston has Denver, Houston, Dallas, Miami, and the Clippers, whereas Milwaukee has Pistons, Cavs, Pelicans. Philly has Magic, Hornets, Spurs, Pacers, Denver. So, like, on one hand, it's like, have we magic numbered the 1 seed? Have we kind of done enough to clinch? And our New Zealand correspondent, Joe, we were talking about this in the playback, our mathematics wizard was explaining this to me. Right now, the Celtics, are winning 77, 78% of all of their games. So for the Bucks or Sixers to get 1 game on us, they need to win like 8 or 9 out of 10 to gain 1 game, as long as the Celtics are maintaining a 7 out of 10 win pace. And that basically takes us to the end of the season. So, like, and he called this last year and went 21-5, Joe did. And so we've kind of magic numbered them. And he was almost right. And that was with the Celtics not really playing very well for basically that point onwards. And we have a similar lead right now with a team that I feel much more confident in that's going to maintain. But this stretch right here is very important. It's like, can we get out of this thing with a 3-game lead still?
Yeah, doesn't it just feel like these assholes, the Bucks and the Sixers, have just been given every opportunity to catch up throughout the season so far, with just strength of schedule and the easy part of ours just being so backloaded. They've been given every opportunity. It's annoying. And so this is like a final opportunity, just looking at our schedule after this final hump here. So yeah, easy answer, simple answer. But if we can get over this hump and win 3 of these next 5 games, then even more difficult than it would have been at this point till this point for the Bucks and the Heat and the Sixers rather to catch us. Spoonie.
How are the Bucks still playing Detroit twice?
I don't know, dude.
How many times have they played them?
Dude, it blows my mind. It feels like them and Philly just play the Wizards, the Wizards and Detroit like 10 times.
Both them
month,
and the Sixers.
Basically, it's insane. Yeah. But hey, so I was on Reddit today. Shocking, I know. And I saw people discuss. I saw it's nerdy cat. I saw people on there talking about how like the response to the losses is less toxic than it was last year, and I think it's because like I got a lot more. I know it's still like pretty toxic, Jake. I was
gonna say what losses though.
Well, exactly. Like it feels like last year the losses were like, oh, they blew a 17-point lead, or oh my God, they lost to the Pistons. But this team just feels like I'm just like much more confident in this team taking care of business. Do you guys feel the same way? Like this team is just they're just like the last team I felt this way was the 07-08 team.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday the Spurs cut it to 13. Like after they were up 30 or whatever. It was 13, 15, something like that. And if this had been last year, I would have called my bookie and put in my secret code.
FanDuel.
FanDuel. A secret bookie, FanDuel, here in Australia. And put in a Celtics insurance bet. And I was doing it earlier in the season, but now, especially a game like yesterday, like it's just not worth it. Even when the odds are 46-1 in the middle of the third quarter, they're up 15 and the lead's been cut in half. I don't feel that way. Like you're absolutely right. And if you're Ben, I'll flip it on you. Think about being the Bucks and the Sixers this season. It's like every night, I tune into the Bucks and the Sixers, and we message each other in Slack, and we're like, "Come on, calm the Bucks, whoever's playing the Bucks, whoever's playing the
calm the
Sixers,
Nets, calm the Magic,
calm the Cavs," and then you reverse it. Like the game's over most nights. Like in the second quarter against the Celtics, they're just ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I think anyone who's known me for long enough, and this includes you two, is I'm like one of the more neurotic Celtics fans, and I've never felt more at ease with everything beyond like will things hold from a health perspective. And even when we've been down late in games, and this was demonstrated first game of the season against the Knicks, where we were down 6 with less than 5 minutes to go. They claw back and they win that game, and that's been repeated throughout the season so far. And it's become consistent and it's become reliable, and it's made nights sleep easier for me. It's made life a lot calmer and cruisier for me. So yeah, I have a lot of confidence in the Celtics this year that I've never had, and that's a really nice thing. I just hope, like I said, that the health aspect holds. But yeah, from the Bucks and the Sixers perspective, they're a tier lower as far as like their level of consistency and the things that can potentially fail for them on a night in, night out basis. And like there does exist matchup problems for them that I don't think are a repeated issue for us. So truly in a world of our own, which I would never thought I could say, but just firing on all cylinders. Coaching, top end of the roster, bottom end of the roster. We just talked about Luke Kornet for like fucking 20 minutes. Like things are good right now. The title of this episode on YouTube at least is it's a ridiculously fun time to be a Celtics fan, and that is a fact. Do you want to talk about this Pacers trade and Siakam so far? Actually, we should get to this question, this super chat by Justin B, who asks, are the Celtics the most popular team in Australia, Jake? Are you on mute?
You're muted.
Classic. Sorry, I was burping, so I didn't want to do that.
Fair enough. Just burp away, my friend.
Yeah. I'm a professional here. Are the Celtics the most popular team in Australia? I would say they're definitely up there. It's like Celtics, Lakers, Warriors, Heat. Those are the top 4. Any team that LeBron has played for, or the Lakers and Heat, are kind of up there, and like just similar to like any of the most popular franchises. So like I'm constantly running into Celtics fans because my wardrobe is made up of like 80% Celtics gear, and so after playing pickup last week, we went to the pub, walked into the thing, bartender's like, "We have to win it this year," and this guy's throwing just the hottest takes. Like, Missoula's gone if we don't win this year, right? And like we can't pay everybody. I'm like, whoa, dude, this is like 3 weeks of podcasts. There's a line building up behind me here.
Let me get my microphone. I'll be right back.
Yeah. I'm like, it depends on the context. There's nuance, brother. He's like, no, we have to win this year. I'm like, who am I to tell you? But yeah, the Celtics are definitely up there as the most popular team in Australia.
I mean, I only attract vitriol when I wear Celtics gear out. I said it recently. I was at Broadway Shops in Sydney, had a Celtics shirt on. Someone walked past me. The Celtics suck, dude. Which is just, it's such a bad time to say that. In my experience, they're not particularly popular at all. I still see so many Ben Simmons Sixers jerseys around. Sudden and unexpected drop off in Giddy jerseys in the last 2 weeks. I have no idea why. So the Celtics have always sort of been that mid-tier team where even like back when they were good, because they've got this like working class culture about them going back to like the old school Celtics days, people seem more drawn to like the Showtime flashiness of the Lakers and the Heat and the sort of the team of the day, the flashy team of the day. So in my experience in Australia, the Celtics had never sort of topped the list of popularity there. Are they the most popular team in West Virginia, Spoonie?
So we're like 3 hours from Cleveland. LeBron, big deal. Most for Cavs fans, but now with Joe coaching the team, WVU guy, dude, I have people coming up to me who have never said a word about the NBA, being like, "Dude, how about those Celtics? Like Missoula, they're killing it." Like they are West Virginia's team now because of Joe Missoula. It's actually kind of fun. Like I have a coworker like every day after games, he'll be like, "Dude, I can't believe that comeback against Minnesota." And I'm like, "You're watching the NBA?" Like he's never talked to me about the NBA the entire time I've been at my job for 6 years. But now people are like all in because of Missoula. Like, dude, Mountaineers, man, that's all they care about. They'll watch like anything. Like if there was an elite dart thrower that's from WVU, they'd be like, "Did you see that dart game last night?" They would be in. So we are West Virginia's team right now.
That's funny. Australia is just like West Virginia. It's like Patty Mills, Joe Missoula.
Sister states, absolutely. Speaking of liking things, more broadly speaking, there's about twice as many people here in the stream than when we started. Please like the stream. Help us put this show in front of more eyeballs if you like the stream. It apparently stimulates the algorithm. Subscribing to the channel helps as well. If you're watching on First to the Floor, head over to CLNS and subscribe to them. If you're watching on CLNS, head over here to the First to the Floor YouTube channel and subscribe. We very much appreciate it. Guys, the Pacers and the Raptors, they made a trade. Pascal Siakam is now in dark blue and yellow, playing for Brad Stevens' second favorite team in the Indiana Pacers. Hey. Jake, is this I guess this is the proper lens through which to ask this question. Is this in any way a threat to the Celtics?
I think they're maybe a slightly bigger threat than they were before. I think that's easy to say. They are definitely a better team now with Siakam than Bruce Brown. Absolutely, no question. That being said, I still don't view them as a legitimate risk to the Celtics. Siakam in particular has been someone that has really struggled with the Celtics matchup on both ends. I know people have kind of pointed to the Pacers have been a team that's given the Celtics trouble. The Pacers have given the Celtics trouble in a way like the Magic gave the Celtics trouble, in that the Celtics take a little while to take things seriously, as we all know. And I think like how the Celtics destroyed them in the 2 games earlier this season, the Magic that is, when they were like, we heard the Pacers talking shit and we're time to end this. I think that's kind of similar to the Pacers games. Like, and this season in particular, they lost the in-season tournament game. The Pacers like have cooled off a little bit from there. Like that game in particular shot 47% from 3. There was no Porzingis in that game. And then the only game that they've played this season where both teams have been healthy, they just the Celtics won by I think 118-101. Tatum had 38. I still don't think that they have the infrastructure to slow down a healthy Celtics. And then I think defensively, once this team's locked in, not a real concern. But I do think they could win a playoff series against someone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it certainly makes the Pacers a much better team. I really rate Siakam. I think he's a really good player. He's not a great player against the Celtics. Like, remember in the bubble when Jalen just absolutely took his lunch money for a few games when he was defending him? And he's just not a good enough 3-point shooter to be a pure stretch big again. So he's kind of a weird fit. He fits really well with Indy, but as far as the Celtics are concerned, they'll be a little bit tougher, but they don't really scare me in a playoff matchup. It's the type of trade that still makes me confused about exactly what the Raptors are getting at, because they just traded for 2 players that are not going to be on the team when, these picks are like on their team and playing well. I just don't know why they didn't try to get some picks out of the
OG
the
trade.
OG and Anunoby trade. But
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Like, Bruce Brown's fun. They'll probably flip him for some more, like a first or a couple good seconds or something like that. So trade totally makes sense for both teams. And yeah, Siakam's really good. I think they could beat the Bucks. I think they could beat the Heat. I don't think they could beat Philly in a series, but
No.
but yeah, it's a fun trade, man. It's like the type of trade like a team on the fringe like Indy doesn't always make. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how it looks.
That's where I really enjoy it personally, is like how it could impact some of our closest rivals, whether it's the Sixers and, sort of rewinding back to the Schadenfreude Report a little bit, whether it's the Sixers or the Bucks and how much trouble it could cause them throughout a lengthy playoff series. Whereas, like you guys said, Siakam, we've always had success against Siakam. So as an individual, he doesn't cause me much concern from a matchup perspective for the Celtics. And if you think about the way they play ball, and often it's a lot of drive and kick, utilizing Halliburton, like Siakam's not really that good of a kick-out option. I don't have his three-point shooting numbers up in front of me. I think he's been better this year, but throughout his career, it's not like he's been this elite three-point shooting threat. So defensively, absolutely, he bumps them up. But from the Celtics perspective, the tools that we have, the personnel we have, I'm not worried about that making life difficult for us, but hopefully for our closest rivals there.
There's no easy, like the East, people have been talking about how good the West is, and like, I get it, but it's 1 through 8 right now. Like, Knicks at 5, Heat at 6, Pacers at 7, Magic at 8, and then there's the Bulls are 4 games back from there. So like, you kind of expect the Magic pace like that probably to hold unless there's an upset in the play-in game. Like, there's no easy first round matchups really. Like in this scenario, like maybe the Magic is like your number one choice, honestly, just because in a playoff setting, I think that the defense shuts them down. It reminded me of this trade because remember last year with Jalen. This is a bit of a kind of a tangent here, but there was a lot of people that wanted to trade Jalen, and the conversation was like, and we would have been, because they were the same contract, right? Jalen, if we hadn't extended him, would have been like Siakam right now, and that he would have been a free agent going into next season.
Sure.
And so it's like, okay, would people have been happy with the return that the Pacers got, like going forward? It's like let's just say you get Bruce Brown, Bora, and Kira Lewis, 3 first round picks. Like, it's a pretty good return. Like, it's actually better than I thought they would get for someone that's expiring. The difference, I think, is Siakam's like been pretty open about, I'm going to sign the 5-year deal with Indiana, it sounds like. Whereas Jalen doesn't feel like to me the guy that would probably do that. He likes to kind of be kind of cryptic. But one, I also think it's actually just good for if you want to trade Jalen down the line, because like this price basically indicates what are you willing to trade for a guy that's going to make $250 million. And I think Jalen, he's a better player than Siakam, younger by like 3 years still. It's just interesting to think about. Like, this is a Jalen-esque type package.
They better be fucking sure that Siakam is going to re-sign with them, because can you guys think of any time in recent history where that has backfired on a team that is very close to our hearts? Not in exactly the same way, but has anyone ever softened on their commitment to re-sign with the Celtics in recent years? It's happened. There is a precedent. So if they have a really awful back end of the season, Siakam is well within his right, unethically, however, to rework his decision there to potentially go somewhere else. So they better be sure.
I will say, though, it's almost worth the risk still to me. Like, yeah, you lose Bruce Brown, whatever. Like, you still got like your young guys, Halliburton and Mathurin, your more blue chip younger guys. The 2 firsts in this year's draft are like one of the picks is the worst of OKC, Houston, Utah, and the Clippers. With OKC and the Clippers in that scenario, you're going to end up with a 25th overall pick. So it's not the end of the world. Obviously, it's going to hurt a lot if he doesn't, but it's not it's not going to be catastrophic if he doesn't re-sign there.
Let's end on this. The Denver Nuggets, who won the NBA championship last year, as my friend Dice reminds me of on a very regular basis. We play them tomorrow. They are a very good team. In the last 2 weeks, though, just 4-3, just hovering just above 500. Second ranked offense, in the last 2 weeks. 26th ranked defense, although they do have the 14th ranked defense overall on the season. They're second in the league in attempts at the rim, 28th in the league at 3-point attempts. This is on a frequency level, not on an accuracy level. And the Celtics have basically the opposite shot profile, so it should make for an interesting matchup. Historically, we've always been really good against the Nuggets at home, at TD Garden. I know we've kind of touched on this matchup throughout the show, guys, but Spoonie, I think you actually alluded to we might actually lose the home winning streak to the Nuggets. So I was going to ask you, how do you feel about this one? But I think you've painted that picture for us already.
I don't know. That was more of just like a vibes take. Like,
Got it.
We're talking about the home winning streak.
We're all about the vibes here.
Everybody's mind. And
does the 5.5 change your mind at all? Because I know you were leading that the Nuggets were going to win, but like that was bigger than I thought. I would have thought 3.5. Does that how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I just think the Celtics are coming off a blowout and a nice win. Like, Vegas, like, they're not predicting what they think's going to happen in the game. They're predicting how they can make the equal amount of money on both sides.
True.
And the 20-0 probably leans into like why that line's a little bigger than you might expect. So I don't know. I feel like the Nuggets are going to come out hungry. They're a great team. But I'll be interested. They can't really defend the Jays. They really have nobody because Aaron Gordon's too slow, and they want to use him in more of an off-ball disruptor role. Like Michael Porter Jr., forget about it, buddy.
Yeah, no.
You're their size, and that's about it. And then KCP, like, he's just too small, and especially with the new post-up game and we've been talking a lot about Tatum's post-up game. Jalen is almost nearly as efficient as a post-up guy as Tatum is, so he's got that as well. And then, KP can bring Jokic out from, where he's comfortable around the rim defensively. So the 26th ranked defense the last 2 weeks is pretty surprising to me because they do have good defenders really outside of Jokic and Murray. But offensively, they're just almost borderline impossible to stop when the shots are going down. So I think it'll be a very close game. I could totally see us winning. Like I said, that was kind of a vibes take. We'll see.
You're allowed.
But, yeah. But I think I've trusted Joe to drop game plans against teams like this. And then sometimes it just comes down to whether the shooting variance is like in your favor or not totally in the other team's favor. So we'll see. But I like our chances for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Celtics offense. Going back to last season, those 2 games that they played against the Nuggets, the Jays were really good in both games. Gordon too slow, KCP too small. The most interesting, it's just going to be more like, can the Celtics hot shooting, because they've been just scorching of late. I do love that we've, come home from, Toronto. We've had, the Spurs game, low minutes-ish, 31 minutes for the Jays, 24 for Horford, and if we're being frank, again, an 80-year-old man saying, if we can be frank, those were some light. That was some light. Those were light minutes, 31 minutes.
Light work, yeah.
Those were very light, 31 minutes. So they can be rested, can be comfortable, sleeping in their own bed. The most interesting aspect of the game is like how the Celtics are going to try and slow down the Nuggets, because it's the unanswerable question in the NBA right now. The Sixers did a pretty good job of it. And for the most part, Embiid wasn't on Jokic. I was listening to the Rosillo podcast today. Interesting stat. It's like when Jokic takes 15 shots or less, their winning percentages, I forget the exact number, is really high. And when he takes 20 shots or more, they're like a below team. And then it's tossing up whether or not is that just because game script then kind of indicates that he tries to make him come back, or is that actually a trend? But I do think that there is something to trying to play Jokic straight up and going from there. I don't know. How would you like to see them approach it, Ben?
Yeah, that's the thing I'm most excited about is like how we apply our awesome defense to this, really dynamic Nuggets team with Jokic as sort of the offensive fulcrum there. And Al Horford won't start, but I sort of expect to see a lot of Horford on Jokic time in lieu of someone like Grant Williams with, all of his faults was like historically, yes, we only played the Nuggets twice this season, but like pretty good at defending Jokic and got himself the Batman name there, albeit self-appointed. But I do expect Al Horford, just with his length and his like veteran savvy, he's probably the best equipped physically and mentally to defend throughout the stretch of a game, sort of long term, the most minutes, a guy like Nikola Jokic. And then, we've proven that we've got really good off-ball communication, and it's going to be tested now more than ever with all the off-ball cutting that the Nuggets do and all the creative ways in which Jokic finds those cutters. We're going to have to be really in sync with one another. We've seen long stretches of that throughout the season, and particularly in this recent stretch. So I'm excited to see it put like really and thoroughly to the test. And really, it's just going to come down to if we can be as locked in as we've proven ourselves to be capable of, then like we should have a capable enough defense to shut the Nuggets down relative to what they're usually capable of producing. So very excited for this matchup, albeit a little bit scared of how that might affect my friendship with Dice down there in Melbourne.
So you're going down though for the Denver Cup, right?
Yeah, I know. So like the vibe of this trip is going to be completely set by what happens in this game. So a lot riding on it.
Oh, very exciting! Yeah, this
for you guys.
Yeah, very excited for me. Yeah. I think it's going to be a great game. But I don't see a scenario where the Nuggets win big. I think the Celtics are going to be ready to go here again, like the doldrums of the season. You got through the Raptors game and you got through the Spurs game, but now you got to expect that this is going to be like everyone's going to be up for this. The injury report is completely clean. I was quietly a little bit concerned to see Porzingis pop up with the right knee inflammation. It was good to see that the right knee inflammation was in fact fake right knee inflammation. Happy for a
lot of that going on.
Yeah, a lot of fake inflammation popping up around the. The Celtics line just moved right in front of my eyes to +6 and -6. That's interesting. Wow, damn. I feel like a professional gambler, like with the FanDuel right up in front of me. we got a good number here, FanDuel.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah, there we go.
You got in sharp at -5.5 too.
Yeah, exactly. I see if you're listening to the gambling tips, you're getting in sharp.
Absolutely. Do you guys care about All-Star voting at all? Because there's been multiple releases that have come out over the last couple of weeks. We've never spoken about it. There was another release today. Unsurprisingly, all of our starters have a spot somewhere on that ladder of voting results, and yet we never talk about it. Personally, I don't give a shit. Right? Like, we know our guys are good, and the All-Star game is fun. I'm not denouncing that at all, but I don't want to sound like this, like I'm too big for my boots here or whatever, but like it's the championship that we've got in our sights, right? Like I just don't give a shit about the All-Star game at all, or the voting returns.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I care much more about All NBA than I do All-Star. Like Andrew Wiggins got voted into the All-Star game. Like, what are we doing here? Like K-pop fans can just vote somebody in. Like, I don't know. It's all kind of a gaffe. Like, it means literally nothing to me, but All NBA I think is very important.
So the only reason I've found myself caring about it is that I am intrigued by like where Tatum sits in the superstar hierarchy amongst the world, really. And like LeBron and Giannis, like clear at the top at 3.9 million for LeBron and 4.3 million for Giannis, which is pretty impressive. But then like after that, and Tatum almost caught Embiid, but it's Giannis, LeBron, Embiid. Tatum is fourth at all votes. And, like, again, this doesn't matter. It doesn't even necessarily that I think that he's the fourth best player in the league, whatever, even though I kind of do. It's just, to me, it's like he has become, like, this staple in the NBA superstardom world. Like, he's going to be a mainstay. He's going to be 38 years old, and he's going to be getting 3+ million votes and still be starting. It's going to be Team Tatum or whatever, once he gets into his later years. So I care because, like, we're going to be able to say 15-time All-Star Jason Tatum, because once you reach the level that he's reached now, and then you add how much playoff success he's going to have for the next 5 to 10 years, I think it's just cool from a Celtics perspective because he's going to have just so many accolades.
Yeah, I can get to that take. Well, folks, do you care about the All-Star game? What do you think is going to happen in the Nuggets game? Let us know in the chat right now or after the fact. like the stream, all that stuff. There's commenting on Spotify now, so give us your takes there as well. And if you're watching on YouTube later, leave us a comment because we read all of them and reply to most of them. So thanks to everyone in the chat there, and thanks to everyone watching or listening later. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as we do. I think it's safe to say we're having a pretty damn good time this season. If you want to support the show, please, like we say all the time, subscribe, like the stream, leave a nice review and a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll be back next week with Richard White, Derek's dad, Spoonie, Jake. Love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics.
I love